नीता जानकारी दे रही थी, नीता अंबानी पर।
जी, और अब रुख करते हैं एनडीटीवी फोर्टिस मोर टू गिव कार्यक्रम के बारे में जो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस चल रहा है, सीधा वहीं चलते हैं।
Best to do these kind of program to boost up this program.
Right. Pranoy, quite often some of our most successful campaigns are the ones where they help in spread awareness, where they make people aware that there are myths around this, there's carelessness, they don't understand it completely, and therefore this perhaps is a campaign where we can help to spread that message.
I think it's hugely important, and it's really close to my heart. I've been passionately involved in this. Actually, it goes back to the World This Week days, when we did a whole campaign about organ donation. And I still remember taking a shot of a lady waiting for a liver transplant, and she walked across the screen, and we looked for a liver transplant. None came, and she died 2 weeks later. As a result of that, or as a result of a lot of efforts, the law was changed, and you could now it's much easier to have organ donations in this country. It's quite difficult then, because we define as brain dead. And Dr. Shomaram Nandi was really instrumental in drafting that law. So it's very easy now. All you've got to do now, each one of us, is sign a little document saying, I pledge my organs, whichever ones. If you want to do your entire body, which you can, in which case you could save 10, 12 patients who are in hospital dying. You're already dead. You're brain dead. After you're dead, they'll harvest your liver, your kidney, your heart, various parts of your anatomy and distribute it. And amazingly, the entire journey of mine came to a head about 3 years ago, when my cousin, closest member of my family, needed a liver transplant, and he was dying, and he had 2-3 years of suffering, and he went to Chennai. And I must congratulate the people of Tamil Nadu. They're the highest donor record in this country. The percentage of people who have signed these forms, who give donations of their organs, are the people of Tamil Nadu, and they really need a round of applause. They really have set an example for this country. So he went to Chennai and was waiting, and really it looked very bleak, because your decline is rapid towards the end. And then, probably 2 weeks left for him to die. A boy in Coimbatore, or a boy nearby, 16-year-old boy, died in a car crash, and the parents and the boy had donated their organs. That boy's liver was flown across to Chennai. My cousin, who was 65 at that time, got the liver. Dr. Rela did an amazing operation. He is, of course, world famous. And now my cousin is 3 years on. He's like 16 years old. He's just had a new life. 2 weeks after the operation, we had dinner with my cousin and Dr. Rela, and Dr. Rela did say, Deepu, that's my cousin, it's 2 weeks since you had it. You would have been up there by now. You're lucky to be alive thanks to this boy. And we did everything to thank the family, but there is a lot of anonymity, which there should be, of course. But it is an amazing gift you can give. And all of us should sign this.
It's a gift of life. You're gifting life to someone else.
And not any cost, really, because it's only after you're brain dead. Of course, you can give live donations, which is also wonderful. And the risk is very low now. But the doctors will know that bit better. But I really, really feel each one of us must sign this small card saying, I am a donor. If I'm in an accident or anything, please harvest my organs. And I plead to every public figure, every MP in Parliament, to the Prime Minister, to the leader of all parties, sign this card and hold it up. And it's wonderful to have you, and if everybody in the film fraternity, because you carry so much weight, what you do makes an impact. If all of you could sign that donor card and set an example and do it publicly, because as you say, you've got to raise awareness. It's a small step for each individual. I know it's plagiarizing, but a huge step for India. And we are very low in our percentage of donors.
But with film stars and celebrities, it might become a little complicated, you know. They could say, I have Irfan Khan's heart. I have Irfan Khan's kidney. You know, so there might be some complications.
I think they'll keep some anonymity, so they won't know that who got it. But they'll know that you were a donor, yeah.
Dr. Balakrishnan, you are, of course, the director of the Cardiac Sciences and Chief Cardiothoracic Surgeon at the Fortis Malhar Hospital in Chennai. The thing that Pranoy was talking about, that somehow Tamil Nadu seems to be doing it better than the rest of the country. What are some of the lessons that you think the rest of us should draw?
I think it's a set of circumstances. Three things which are seemingly unrelated happened together and brought about this transformation. As Dr. Pranay Roy mentioned, 1994, the Indian Parliament enacted a law permitting brain death to be recognized as a concept. So we did our first transplant in 94, as a matter of fact. But then, till 2009, it's pretty disorganized. Each hospital had whatever donors it had. There was no organ sharing, no formal network in place. I think around that period, there was a big scandal involving kidney transplants. And kidney transplants have a way of coming up with scandals every few years. And this came up in headline news, and Tamil Nadu government took it very badly, and rightly so. So they put in place a mechanism. They said this has brought disrepute, so this should never happen again. So for the first time, they involved all the stakeholders, including the public and private, and put in place a mechanism for organ sharing. And soon afterwards, a doctor couple had a young child who died of an accident, and they donated their heart, and this caught the attention of the press. And the press has a very important role to play. And after that, there was a spurt in organ donation. And thirdly, seemingly unrelated, but China went through a crisis where they were a big scandal involving one ethnic group, including Gulag prisoners, were being used as live organ donors to be sacrificed at will. And as a consequence, Lancet, the biggest medical journal in the world, brought out a campaign that no transplant-related publication from China is any longer regarded as valid, legally publishable scientific material. And about the same time, the spurt in organ donation took place here, and the British Medical Journal got wind of it, and there's a big lead article on, they were comparing the two emerging markets and how India could get it right, being a democracy and so on and so forth. And nothing pleases people more than public and international praise. So this was a bigger spurt, and as a consequence now, Chennai city has an organ donation rate of close to 15 per million, is equal to actually Western Europe. So
Really amazing. And the rest of India?
0.0 to 0.2, I think.
What are the reasons? Why?
As a consequence, it's now publicly accepted that organs, it's worthwhile. The more people who live and more highlighted that is in the press. So it's no longer considered a taboo or a thing that's not done. It's like blood donation.
And ending the taboo, you're saying that's something that's particularly important. I think, you are, of course, at the Organ Retrieval Banking Organization at AIIMS. In government hospitals and elsewhere, especially when it comes to the poorest or the poor who may actually need this a lot, what are the specific issues that you're finding out there? Is there greater openness to donating organs or what?
See, earlier when we started the program, there was huge resistance and there were a number of issues. And I think there were two, one related to medical professionals and the other general public. For general public, the issue was non-acceptance of brain death. So when the counselors spoke to a potential donor, they did not believe that their patient has died. Because you know how in our country we're used to cardiac death. There's no pulse, no respiration, temperature, body's cold. And here's a case of brain death where the patient is on artificial respiration, so they see the body's warm, patient is breathing. This was the biggest challenge that we faced, and still is, I would say. And second was medical professionals. So even there was not so much awareness amongst medical professionals themselves that there is a need to identify a potential brain death donor, to counsel the donor, to maintain the donor, and educate them for coming forward for organ donation. So there were a couple of things, but last few years, 3 years, we have seen huge impetus from the government, lot of support from media, and donation rates have improved in our center also.
Right. Pranay, those are some of the issues that you were talking about, and maybe we can also ask, Dr. Bhandari, any other things that you think the government needs to do to, if there's any gray areas that are still there.
See, it is a technical and exactly that point. When a person's heart is beating and they're breathing, but they're brain dead, how do you convince members of the family that actually there's no chance, there's zero chance? The person is technically dead. It is a big step, that's one, but that's all over the world. In addition to that, we have a lot of superstitions in India that, even in donating blood, if I give blood, I will not recover. In fact, you'll become weaker. In fact, you recover in 3 months. Again, if I can give Dr. Nandi's example, he is over 70 years old, and I maybe shouldn't be saying this publicly, but he gives blood every 3 months. I don't think he's allowed to, but he does. And he's the fittest guy I know. So for youngsters and family members in India who refuse to give blood because they think they're getting weak, it's just a mental block. And I think, yes, the media and this campaign will go beyond just blood. Of course, organ donations is the next big step. But it's really good that you are taking this forward and trying to educate and break these barriers that we have, irrational barriers that have to be broken.
Deep, in the case of blood, as I think Pranay very rightly said, in the case of blood, it is something that there's no hesitation anymore in donating blood. But of course, the issues here are far more complex and far more problematic. But is it possible, you think, to break these barriers fairly soon?
I do. I mean, at Fortis Healthcare, we're a large organization. We have 50 plus hospitals. We do lots of surgeries, lots of procedures. This is about changing the healthcare landscape. And I think that, as you've heard from some of the other speakers today, that the knowledge gap, the awareness, the understanding, the education around it is so significant that I was talking to Dr. Bala before we started today, and I said, this is a good step. And he just looked at me and said, we're just scratching the surface. There's so much more to be done. The donation rate in India today is less than 1% of all Indians donate their organs. When you go to Western nations like the US, the number of people that donate their organs are in double digit, 13, 14, 15%. So you think about